Good evening, everyone. Matt Paterini here with the Nontraditional Pharmacist, and tonight I'm joined by Joe Lassiter, President and Managing Advisor of the Robertson Group, LLC, where they have clinical informatics advisory firm, which includes certified licensed pharmacists and nurses, and specialize in clinical workflows and technology solutions for patients in all care settings. And they optimize clinical information systems to provide safe, effective, and efficient patient care. So that's a mouthful and very interesting to me, but we'll have Joe explain it all and learn more about that. So as our viewers know, TNP feels strongly that technology will continue to play a role and larger role in healthcare as well as the field of pharmacy. So we're really excited to have Joe with us tonight. And Joe, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's so nice to be able to give a voice to these non-traditional career paths in pharmacy and be able to get that out to the audience, students, career practitioners, or whoever wants to learn more about things that don't involve direct patient care. I really like to consider a lot of these things indirect patient care. So all what we do at the end of the day still enables patient care. It's just not directly managing the patient from day to day. So I like to keep that perspective when I think about our career paths.
Okay, yeah, well said, well said. And let's start with career paths. Hearing about your background, kind of where you started in pharmacy and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Thanks. It's been a journey for that. That's for sure. And I would say just before I get started, I would do it all over again. But it's been fascinating. So I graduated and went to College of Pharmacy in St. Louis. St. Louis College of Pharmacy is one of the few independent schools of pharmacy left. And when I graduated, they still had a 5-year Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy program. So I went from high school right into pharmacy school. And while my friends were having fun rushing fraternities at major schools, I was studying OChem and just digging right in. I was definitely regretting things at that time, but looking back, it was a great opportunity, a great school. I've made some lifelong friends who I still keep in contact with. So after I achieved my Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy, right about the time I was graduating, the profession decided to convert to the all PharmD program, which at the time I didn't really know how that affected me, but decided the best course after getting some advice from my mentors was just to start practicing. So I started practicing and then quickly realized though I enjoyed patient care, I thought I could have more effect on kind of a population health level, or looking at what happens in practice from across all patients rather than dealing with patients at the clinic. And that it will probably be a theme throughout my career. I've really enjoyed my patient care part of it. Sometimes when I lecture to students, I feel like they think, oh, you were just not good at it, so that's why you moved into something else. But I really, truly enjoyed it. And it's where you can make a difference, I think, is what it comes down to. So then I returned to the College of Pharmacy and got a Master's of Science in Pharmacy Administration. And my focus there was managed care pharmacy. St. Louis had Express Scripts in its backyard. And so I had several colleagues there and got involved with Express Scripts and worked there, working with their pharmaceutical business development. And I think that was kind of the first taste of entrepreneurship for me in pharmacy, learning to work with the pharmaceutical companies to design clinical programs for Express Scripts patients, and learning the power of technology and how the data that we had in the patients could be harnessed and measured and evaluated to see what we could do to make a difference for the patients. After that, I kind of, through a course of adventures, I moved through a couple different academic medical centers and got the opportunity to be part of an informatics team at the Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, Oregon, where I'm still currently located. And my director of pharmacy at the time said, hey, we're going to do this thing called Epic, and I have a position for an informatics pharmacist. Do you want to do that? I was doing patient care at the time. And I said, I don't know anything you just said, but another thread throughout my career is when people give you opportunities, take them. It rarely doesn't work out. I think it's always worked out for me. So I immersed myself in that, learned all about electronic health records, Epic as a vendor, interfacing technology, informatics, and just kind of ran with it. At that point, I became much more passionate about the field. I finally looked to myself and thought that, wow, if I saw a patient and adjusted their antibiotic dosing, then they would, I could maybe get, a patient a day, a patient every couple days. And how many patients is that over the course of my career? But if I write this clinical decision support rule with an electronic health record, and then every provider that looks at that patient and uses that information to treat those patients, it's much more powerful to me. And so, as I said before, I thought that's where I can make a difference. So I did that for a while, successfully worked at SU for a bunch of years, did a stint in academia. And the reason I did that was because a local college here was starting a new pharmacy program and wanted to launch a whole new pharmacy administration program that really embedded these principles of indirect patient care throughout their whole curriculum. So they're a 3-year accelerated program, and they have pharmacy management or pharmacy administration that's woven through all 3 years. And that includes informatics. And so it was exciting for me to be part of a curriculum development that would now affect all students that came through the program. So then I hopped over to the wonderful University of Michigan health system and got the chance to do go blue. I will say I definitely drank the Kool-Aid, the blue Kool-Aid. Michigan is just a wonderful organization to be part of. So I helped implement Epic there, and the reason I took that opportunity was because wonderful mentors available at University of Michigan, and it was the last chance. I feel there's, we're kind of getting over this wave of implementations, and so it was the last chance for a really just amazing academic medical center like Michigan to make this big of a change, and so to be part of that was very powerful to me. After that happened, I switched over to consulting a little bit and joined the Robertson Group as a pharmacy consultant and their first chief pharmacy officer. And so my role there is to do some pharmacy development and to get out there and to fully flesh out what it meant to do informatics consulting. And so I did that for a couple of years and switched gears and took over the reins of the company when the founder owner retired and decided that she had had enough pharmacy for her career, and gave me the opportunity to lead a company, which has just been absolutely amazing. And that leads us to present.
Wow, that's a phenomenal story. A couple of things I love what you said there. When you get opportunities, take them, because they don't always happen. You don't know when they're going to happen. So when opportunities do come your way, be sure to take them. I like that a lot. And also your point on instead of direct patient care, indirect patient care, and doing things that, yes, you can impact individual patients one-on-one, but if you were to make you talked about implementation on a larger scale, now you're impacting patients on even that broader scale. And that's kind of an interesting point to think too. Well, why help one patient when you can help as many as you possibly can? So I like that mindset.
Thank you. And I think that, one of the things I think you'll ask later on, not to jump the gun, but to think a little bit about where pharmacy practice is going. And I think those systems levels thinking, that systems skills are something that we can provide value to. Because as pharmacists, we really are thinking about the entire contrary to what a lot of people think, we're not just thinking about the dispensing part of it. We're thinking about their education, the monitoring, things like that. And so I think pharmacists naturally have the ability to take a leadership role in systems thinking within healthcare organizations.
Right. I like that. Yeah, we will talk about that in a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the Robertson Group specifically. What exactly is the Robertson Group? Sounds like a law firm to me, but
And we don't sue enough people, for sure. In fact, nobody. So there's a lot of consulting companies out there, larger companies like Deloitte, Accenture, KPMG are the big names that are known to folks. And they do consulting on a wide range of things, from everything from healthcare auditing to lean practice improvement, things along those lines. Well, the niche kind of that we focus on is using technology to better people's practices. And so everybody who works for a group is somebody who's practiced before, a pharmacist, nurse, pharmacy technician, a lab technician, and then they learn the technology sides of things, and they learn to bridge the gap. I started to notice in healthcare that, as did my mentor, Nan Robertson, who founded the company, that there was just this gap between IT and clinical operations and clinical practice and the suite. And so when they did these large implementations or large technological changes, it affects the whole organization. clinical, business, change management, culture, and there wasn't really somebody to help who could really understand all those moving pieces. And I think clinicians are the best poised to do that. So we provide advisory services to organizations who need help accomplishing those projects. And that can take its shape a bunch of different ways. So for example, one of our recent clients, they were implementing a new module of the electronic health record that affected oncology patients. And their chief pharmacy officer said, we need pharmacists to help us manage this. Their IT group was leading the project, but because, as we know, oncology patients are at-risk population, very important, very costly, very narrow therapeutic index for these agents. She really wanted pharmacists to help there bridge the gap. And so we played a role in helping with project management, helping provide expertise about how the build should exist, helping provide end user training, one-on-one training to the pharmacists, nurses, and providers. And those kind of projects are really exciting because we talked about before, this project was maybe a year project, but it has lasting implications forever. This is how they're going to treat patients until the next best thing, right? Until we have implants in our eyes, stuff like that. But for the near future, this is how they're going to treat patients. So be able to be an opportunity and to design a safe system and an efficient system up front is really a powerful example of how we can work together with our clients.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds great. And, I can follow along with, what the role of Robertson Group is and what you guys do. How did it start? It sounds like you've taken over from the original owner, but how did it get started in the first place?
Yeah, great. So Nan Robertson, who is a pharmacist by training, and she was a mentor to me as well. She worked for Kaiser Permanente, and Permanente was one of the first organizations that adopted Epic Corporation, based in Verona, their electronic health record. And so they were almost a pilot site. And for those of you who know Kaiser, it's regionally based across Oregon, Washington, California, and throughout the country. At the time, she was the director of pharmacy, a systems director of pharmacy, and lab director, overseeing lab for the Pacific Northwest. So after she went through that implementation, which was many years, she thought, wow, people are really going to need help with this. This was the first wave of implementation adoption of technology. And so she handpicked a couple people from Kaiser Permanente who she thought would be able to go out and help other people do this work and just set up shop inside her own house. And she bet on the horse because as we've seen in the last 10 years, so that was in 2004, and as we've seen in the last 12 years, 13 years, that adoption has continued to be very important. We've even had federal stimulus packages to get people adopting health information technology. And so the demand is definitely there.
Okay. So, and you touched on this a little bit before, but describe your role specifically in the Robertson Group, and what other teams are there involved in the business?
Yeah, so we're a very small business. I like to say that part of what I do when I'm recruiting is I'm a unicorn hunter, because if you look at people who have experience in practicing their craft and then also know informatics and have experience practicing that and have the kind of wherewithal to be able to be parachuted in like a special team into a client site and be able to help them solve their problems, really narrows our field down right there. And I think, one of my long-term strategic goals is to help grow more people who do this. Not necessarily that they work for us, but that just is what the profession needs. And so we're a small to medium-sized business, and so because of that, I wear many hats. Like Cat in the Hat, they're stacked high on my head. So as a president, I'm in charge of the overall fiscal and operational. I have fiscal and operational responsibility for the entire organization, in addition to development, new client development, marketing, all those sorts of things. And I also do consulting as well. So I not only do consulting myself, but I also manage our other consultants. And our consultants are really fantastic. They don't need managing. They just need maybe somebody to bounce ideas off of. And so if you look at a traditional consulting organization, usually there's kind of different levels of consultants and teams. And so when we do team-based projects, I help coordinate that and make sure we achieve our goals.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a well-oiled machine today. Where is the Robertson Group heading in the future? What's next?
Yeah, thanks for asking. You always got to keep moving. If you're not moving and changing and adapting to what's going on, you're not listening to what your clients are saying in the environment. So we've really focused. I'll touch on a couple things. Our bread and butter is advisory services, doing these things for our clients, and we've really focused on the West Coast of the United States and on Epic. Now, Cerner, which is the main competitor to Epic, another information technology company, has really, their stars starting to rise. They recently awarded 2 large contracts with the Department of Defense and the Veteran Affairs Administration. And so we're going to start to do more Cerner work and make sure that we want all these systems to operate together. Epic should be able to talk to Cerner, should talk to Meditech or whatever vendor comes up tomorrow. So that, I think that's really important that we're out there in the environment encouraging that. The other arm of our company we're starting to launch is advisory services for software companies. So what I've started to find in my travels is, as great as the electronic health record is, and it has become the kind of the operating systems of the hospitals, there needs to be things to plug into it. And the Epic and Cerner and these companies aren't going to come up with everything. There's going to be other products that are needed. So we started to talk to some select partners and see if we can be an advisor to them to help them develop their product and see what, based on what our clients are really asking for and what we know about patient care. I think there's a lot of really wonderful, motivated people out there whose mother had an adverse event to a medication and they decide to develop an app on the phone that helps you track your medications. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's something that our clients are asking for, that we need, or that they understand how to do it in the right way. So we can leverage our expertise to be able to help them help our clients in the future. And so we're looking at a bunch of different of those partnerships right now. So I think that continue. A lot of people ask me if we're ever going to develop software, and who knows? I think that would be really fun to be able to develop something from the ground up. But right now, what I can see is we have a lot of expertise in clinical informatics, and there's a lot of companies out there who have wonderful software developers, and they really understand the product lifecycle. And so I'll leave their expertise to them, and we can help them with what we can do.
Yeah, for you guys, you really have to balance you mentioned adapting and changing, but it's really with the healthcare and pharmacy world, also with technology, and kind of blending those two together and adapting those at the same time. One of the other questions I had was if the Robertson Group was hiring. Originally, when I was looking through LinkedIn, I came across Robertson Group and I came across your profile, and I believe you'd posted something about hiring. Is that still true today? And what are the details, and how would people find out more information?
Yes, we are in a constant state of hiring based on the flux in the market. And so I'm always happy to connect with people. I think really what it's about today, and not to be cliche, but it's really about networking and develop relationships. I have a bunch of people, and I keep kind of a running mental list and also running OneNote list, but of people I need to keep in contact with and have specific expertise. We do have it. The majority of our workforce are employees, but we also retain some subcontractors who have specialized expertise in certain areas. For example, we've done some work recently with helping people manage their formularies. While that may seem a little bit tangential from us, really it's about managing information and getting that information to clinicians so that they can make decisions. And so really that's informatics. But we don't have somebody on staff who is a formulary expert. We have the informatics expertise. And so we can work with the people we know to help add their expertise to our team. And so I'm always looking for great people like that. And for folks who are more classically informatics trained, and by that I mean either doing a residency or have experience out in the field, please do email me at joe@therobertsongroup.org. I'd be happy to talk to you more. I'm on Twitter as well at Joe Lassiter, and on LinkedIn. And I'm very involved in ASHP. I'd be happy to talk to anybody at the upcoming ASHP mid-year meeting, which I'm sure we can find some way to find each other amongst 20,000 people. But it's great to network with people and to hear from folks about what they're seeing out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, we try to stress that a lot too. It's as simple as making a connection, a personal connection with someone, talking about what you're interested in, where your skill set lies, where you might be able to bring value to a team, and seeing if there's a fit. A lot of times there's not formal, you don't need to send a formal resume in. You don't need to send in a formal application for a job. A lot of times it's just
Right.
classic networking, and that can really go a long way.
Absolutely, and you hit on something else important too. A lot of times people think consultants are the experts in the room, but really as an outside person, you can listen to all the voices and you can provide a lot of value based on your experience and drawing all those things together. You don't have to be the smartest person, the most knowledgeable. I think sometimes that holds people back. They think I want to be a consultant, but I just don't know everything right now. Well, I hate to break you, but that's not going to happen to know everything.
Yeah, on that note, what advice would you give to people that are looking to do something different? Maybe they consider working for the Robertson Group as a consultant or something else very different from what they're used to. What advice would you give to those people who might want to make a change but don't really know how to do that?
That's a great question. I think it's really about finding where your fit is, and you hit it the nail on the head is where you can provide value. Some people talk about doing what you're passionate about, and I think it's really where you want to give back and where it doesn't necessarily feel like work. I mean, there's always things that are going to be challenging to you, but it's really where we all got in this profession for a reason, and we got in this profession, I suspect most of us, to give back. And so it's finding about the way you can give back and make a difference in our patients' lives. I think there's a lot of opportunities at sites right now. Take the onus at your site. Say, hey, I may not be on the Informatics team, but perhaps I can be on a committee that's about how to implement these things. Maybe they'll send me you can study some of these certifications on your own time and get some expertise, and really then say, hey, look, I have these qualifications, give me the chance. My experience is that most sites are really willing to grow their own people. They'd rather do that than hire external people. So take every opportunity at your site that you can definitely take advantage of, and look for mentors. I mean, again, I know it's cliche, and mentoring, as you said, doesn't have to be something formal where you sit down and type out questions and ask each other things. It can be as quick as I had a mentoring call today, which was about 30 minutes, and we just kind of caught each other up. I actually call it co-mentoring because I learn as much from the folks as I hope they learn from me. But I think those things out there, and people are really willing to share their time, much more than you would think. I think early in my career, I thought it was I couldn't these people approachable, but that was all in my own mind. People are very willing to share their time and expertise.
Well, we're certainly appreciative of your time, Joe. And we talked about it before with where the field of pharmacy is heading. But if you could expand on that a little bit, what's your assessment of the field today, and where do you see it heading?
Yeah, Matt, thank you. I think we're at a really interesting time in our profession. As your viewers may know, all the pharmacy organizations have kind of banded together and are seeking out provider status for us as a profession. And I think it's important. It's really, at the end of the day, what we're seeking is really a very administrative thing, getting added to the Social Security Act so that would be called providers. We're already doing the work, but I think that formal recognition and making sure that in every state we're operating a provider and we're taking ownership of medication use is really where it needs to go. We'll always have a relationship with the product, I think, at some point, because that's just what we do. But at the end of the day, we help patients achieve medication use outcomes, and we need to think like that. I think pharmacists are well poised to straddle the conversation about clinical care and the economics of healthcare as well. Some of our colleagues in other professions really don't get that training over the course of their pharmacy career or their clinical career, or don't get exposed to that. So I think that's where we're going as well. And technology, the use of technology, and we shouldn't be using technology just to use technology. It should be solving problems and allowing us to do things such as spend an hour counseling the patient, or reaching out to a caregiver and making sure they understand the medication, the regimen, and harnessing all that information to see what's going on. How are people really taking these medications, and what differences can we make? So I think this idea of systems thinking, population-based health, accepting all the factors in healthcare, the political, the economic, the clinical factors are really what we need as practitioners moving forward.
That's fantastic. Taking ownership of the relationship, utilizing technology, not just to use it, but to use it in a valuable way, and at the system level thinking is really, kind of the direction we're heading. And, no one really knows where the future direction is going to actually be, but taking those things into consideration is probably going to be pretty close. So Joe, hey, thanks so much for your time tonight. And thanks everyone for tuning in to the Non-Traditional Pharmacist. Please follow us and sign up for our newsletter. And I will post all of Joe's contact information below this post so you can contact him for job information and or more information about the Robertson Group. And be sure to connect and build a profile on the Pharmacy Network. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you so much.